gives me a great honor to speak this morning in regards to our language, the Sm'algyax language, especially. Years ago, when I was still going to school, at about 11 years old, I'll just introduce you to, I'll just mention something about a certain person. The United Church sent a teacher to Hartley Bay. And he was, I didn't know at the time, I was a little bit on the young side because we didn't know, but he was interested in the language, the Sm'algyax language. So he mentioned that in school one day when we were all going to school, and we had 3 volunteers. One of those volunteers is still alive today, and the other 2 are gone. He asked the volunteers to go and teach him the Sm'algyax language. He did that, and the 3 volunteers, they thought there was something that they could get by with. So they started teaching them the choices, words in Sm'algyax. They started teaching him that. So one day, you may wonder, we're sitting here, three elders. At that time, the preacher, teacher, well, after a couple of weeks of it, he was walking down, he saw 3 elders standing below the church in Hartley Bay. So he ran down right away. He was going to tell them about the new language he learned. He ran down and he talked to the elders, talked to the 3 elders, and told them the choice of language he learned. And when the 3 elders got home, you can guess who got it talking to. But they were the ones to pick out after they found out that the preacher wanted to learn the language. They went and chose who was to teach them. 2 of the teachers that taught him the Sm'algyax language are gone now. But that's how interested he was. Just about that time, I went to a residential school. They were supposed to, some of the residential schools, they banned the use of their own language. Not only Sm'algyax, but Niskan, Dixon, Dado, and Simsien. They banned that. If you use your own language, you're in trouble. But the one that was interested in our language was a preacher. But I went to a residential school that their principal was Reverend R.C. Scott, or better known as Captain Scott. I think I know why he did not ban that use of your own language in school. Was he went into every village and places up and down this coast where he heard the language and used their own language. So when he took over Kokolesi School, he didn't ban the language at all. Every one of us that went there could use our own language any place we wanted. I don't know how many of you are all sitting here that at one time or another was a member of the residence school, and you can remember, you can use your own language. Now to finish off the language that the teacher and preacher learned, he learned the Sm'algyax language in 6 weeks. He got up in front of the whole village one Sunday. He preached in English, and he also translated his preaching to Sm'algyax. He did a pretty good job of it. That was in less than 6 months. That's how fast. So if everyone here is interested in learning our own language, use it at home, on the streets, when you visit neighbors, you'll find it's not that hard. With me, in the school I went to, there was over 50 representatives from pretty close to 50 bands, all different languages. So that was the reason why we talked English, in order to communicate with one another. And some people, some of the students that went there, they go for a month, then they forget their own language. Can't use it. Because none but English. Well, I can prove that wrong. Because all the time I was in school, I used English. Even when I was at home. My father and myself, we spoke English. In my school years, I spoke English. And after I came out of school, I joined the Canadian Army during the Second World War, and I heard French and English for pretty close to 6 years. And I haven't forgotten the use of the Sm'algyax language. So you could never forget it, even when you go to school here, because it was used at home all the time. And I hear quite a few other people who say you've got to talk French. And those that are learning French at school, this is amongst the white people, they talk French at home. So when the students go back to school, they pretty well versed in the use of the French language. And I see why we're here, because we're elders. There'll be among you people. That way we don't forget, and we advise you. You use it at home, on the street, to the neighbors, and talk to them. And that way, because pretty soon, if we don't use it, it's gone. They talk about animals, the extinction of animals. We're classified as that. Our language is going to be extinct. forgotten about if we don't use it. I thank you for allowing me to speak, and it's a great honor for me to speak to a group like such as this. God bless you all. In my own experience, how do we deal with the disagreeable elders? In my own experience, I've experienced senior citizens from BC right straight to Czechoslovakia and North Africa. And I've heard from the different places in different countries. I'll start off with Canada, namely the French Canadians. They go over to France, and if you want them to interpret the French people that's from France, they can't understand. French Canadians can't understand the Frenchman's language. It's parts of it. So, to continue, this is the elder's advice. That we're elders, and our forefathers were elders, and it's up to us to carry on to the younger people and pass on our experiences and what we know, what we were told by elders, our elders. So my advice is continue. First, you explain to the elder people that disagree with your culture, that it's on the verge of extinction. Once they hear that, they might change their mind, because over 75% is gone now. And we are here to pass on to you what our elders told us and advised us. When he got up and mentioned about a language that is completely lost, and that's the Chinook language. Now, what takes place of the Chinook is English. Everybody talks to one another in English. But our forefathers, when they talked to one another, they talked Chinook to one another. And now the last person that I knew of had used that quite regularly. And he originated from Haida Gwaii. That's the late Reverend Peter Kelly, when he was a captain on the mission boat, Thomas Crosby. He was the last person that I know of that uses Chinook, no matter which village he goes to, and he talks to the village there. So I was thinking of that about 10, 15 years ago. I was thinking about it. So I went to see a person I know. It's K.B. Harris. And you know, we were discussing where to find out a little more about it, who might know. He didn't give me the address, but he mentioned the person I might know. And he's in North Vancouver. That is Simon Baker. So if anybody wants to find out information about the language Chinook, maybe take a chance and find Simon Baker's address, and if you meet him sometime when you're down, find out about where to get that. He was supposed to revise it again down south. And like it was said before, if you talk it at home. I got one daughter. One time when I was at work, the Sm'algyax language is used in my house all the time. But my daughter said, when her mother was talking to her, she said you were going to tell her daddy. And her mother said a bad word to her. And yet her mother was talking Sm'algyax to her, so she didn't understand. She said she was going to tell daddy that her mother said a bad word to her. Although it never did stop my way, he kept using it on and off and on, although they don't use it at all. They don't talk Sm'algyax at all, but they understand. If somebody mentioned to them in Sm'algyax what it said, they understand. But they don't use it. So again, I say keep using it at home.